guys, Snake's pliskinist response video. Yes, do a couple of videos. So, in overview, this is just going to be a conversation about value and the fact that there's a currency to life. Maybe I'll call the video that. I've done videos on this subject. He's obviously just mocks that stuff. He doesn't like rationally counter-argue it. But whatever. I mean, this nihilist thing is all over the place. I guess it has to be dealt with. I guess there has to be some sort of statement, some sort of, you keep just pointing to it. I mean, I thought suffering sucks would be enough. They keep putting the words "life is suffering" into my mouth like I'm some sort of Buddhist, and that really pisses me off because I've never said that. That's what I say, and it's just irritating. But yeah, okay, it is important though, and they just keep, clearly, in my opinion, there's no other reason to do this except to just run away from the inconvenience of it. That's all. It's just an act of grotesque selfishness. Because it's something they must have known. I mean, you can't miss it when you arrive on Earth and you find out, ooh, there's fun stuff and there's not fun stuff. This is one of the first things you learn. And somehow these people have unlearned that. That somehow the value of this fun stuff and unfun stuff only applies to them, or somehow. And they've never realized that, oh, you mean all the other people are engaged in the same activity of having fun and unfun? There's just no explanation besides just they knew the truth. They didn't like the truth. They ran like fucking women from the truth. Sorry, no misogyny intended. My apologies. I apologize. They run like some other kind of sissy animal. That'll do, but that'll help fix it. Fucking girly men. Yeah, they run like girly men. Yeah.
Proven anytime soon. But I was thinking about something that you just said a while ago, about how if you try to persuade an amoralist with self-interest, what they'll do is pretend to be a moralist. And I just thought, you know what the best disguise would be? Somebody who's always talking about how important morality is. Yeah, like if you're just like an amoral goddamn psychopath and you want everybody to believe otherwise, what you do is you just always talk about your morals and how important your morals are to you and how important morality is in general.
Well, whatever. I didn't realize this is what that clip was, so sorry. But my big counter argument to that would be, why would they go to that much trouble? Why wouldn't they just say, I have a big penis? I mean, why would they go to the trouble of pretending to have a morality they don't believe in and trying to persuade others to think that morality is valuable? Why they just lie about some other fact of their life? Gee, I mean, if they're going to lie, there's so many other better lies to tell.
Right, talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. If I had a son, like an 8-year-old son, and I had the choice between leaving him with a Catholic priest, a moral, upright person, or a Hell's Angel.
Whatever. This is just, obviously we know the answer. Yeah, well, obviously most priests are probably not, and most Hell's Angels are probably, so I don't think you're going to win with that equation either way. If you have a son and you're leaving with either one of those two people, you should be shot in the head. Yeah, maybe that's the correct answer. So anyway, there was I thought this was the point in the video where he says the typical standard, you aren't going to prove any objective morality, blah, 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 blah. So we'll go to the end where he says it again anyway, so that should work. It should. He's responding to this young fellow.
It agrees with me. I have a duty to be moral now.
And he goes on like this for a while with his little tangent like, nobody's ever going to be able to, morality is obviously not objective. That's just some retarded shit. I don't even know why we're going off in little, fantasy land over here. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, whatever. You can do little silly voices and superficialize it all you want, but the fact is I'm pointing my finger right at your face and saying, guess what? You're a fucking retard if you can't figure this one out. I mean, it's like the economy, right? If we're going to discuss the economy, you'd say, let's try to reduce things to what the real value is. And you reduce things down, you figure out, oh, workers doing productive work. And what's being exchanged is their inconvenience. They're inconveniencing themselves to be productive so they can create
value that they can enjoy in their living room later. And that's sort of what the economy runs on. That's the value. And ultimately, if you went a step further, you'd figure out the real value is that we're all trying to dig ourselves out of malaise and dissatisfaction and unsatisfied hungers and ambitions. So we're all in these negative conditions where even like we have a bad eye and we need money for a nice shiny, quantum powered, crystal eye of power, a power eye. And we want to get the resources so we can buy ourselves a power eye. And that's the game we're in. And this is all so easily seen by anybody fair and reasonable that they can just look at life and say, oh, there is something important here. It's not just rocks insulting each other. All right, it's not like the computer in my car is having a fight and calling you're the computer in your car a skanky whore and all this. No, there's not a bunch of drama between non-sentient things. No, the drama's between these sentient things, and what they're doing has a whole different level of complexity and importance. Again, I think you can't miss this truth, and that you have to, like a girly man, run away from it. There's no way to miss it unless you're a girly man and you put your dress over your face and I can't look at it, and you run away because you don't want to deal with the truth. Really. I mean, it's pathetic. You're pathetic. So we'll go to his other video and just play this one little portion. He did a response video to me and didn't respond to shit. And, it would have been just nice if he just contextualized all his bullshit a little bit and just indicated, okay, maybe that was crap. Okay, maybe that was a lie. Okay, maybe I didn't do that. But no, instead he just whitewashed over some more bullshit. And people love that.
So I found my old buddy Gary made a well-thought-out and valid series of criticism.
He probably did.
Video, anti-natalism. If you're making videos against people, encouraging other people not to do something you've said is retarded.
Oh, I do things for lots of reasons. Let's just start with the pettiest here. Your little anti-natalist bitch boys started kvetching at me, saying shit about me, and I'm like, well, now I'm going to have to...
bitch boys kvetched at you? Whatever, alright, so that's your rationalization. Okay, fine, who cares?
Attack their precious anti-natalism. Another reason would be that you put forth this whole life is suffering, what's basically your opinion, as fact and logic, and
my opinion that life is suffering. No, that life contains suffering, and that this is the value being exchanged, and that theoretically all of the value could be negative. It could be just the illusion of positives, that we are put in a negative position by nature, by our psychology. All right, that's how we're being gamed by the DNA molecule. That's right, we are a construct of a DNA molecule, and it might be to our advantage to analyze that molecule and see what its agenda is. Yeah, it's like if you land on another planet and there was this thing with this big giant dome over it and you didn't know what the hell it was, you might want to say, hey, maybe we should take a look at that. And maybe you wouldn't blow it up because it might be a nuclear power plant or it might be something really dangerous. But you'd say, we got to figure out what that is. Maybe that's important. And our brain is kind of important, and it was built by a DNA molecule, and it might be instructive to take a look at what does motivate us and what moves us and pushes us through the world. Man, you really are dumb.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of people's emotions dressed up as logic.
Well, again, it's not dressing up emotions as logic, okay? It's just making concessions to what is observed when you go out and you start analyzing the system and the dynamic and what moves things through it. And you can see the waste of it. I mean, you can just calculate that if, 9 out of 10 mammals born on Earth die before maturation, that's not really too good. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That annoys me. Then, most importantly, Gary, I am a great humanitarian. I try to help people and make their lives better. So I just thought I would introduce you to a form of antinatalism that is a bit manlier, that has a little bit of dignity, that isn't...
Yeah, whatever. This whole antinatalism from practicality crap, right? I mean, you know, if you're going to concede that life is, you know, in one sense you say, okay, it's retarded to have kids because you get the fact that, okay, there's no real point in doing it. Go have a banana. Go find something else to please yourself with. You know, and then, but you can't make both arguments, okay? So if you're going to defend life in any sense, if you're going to defend somebody's right to reproduce, then you're defending life. You're defending the creation of it, the experimentation on it. And then you might as well subsidize it. So if you think life is intrinsically or fundamentally a good thing on Earth, then you should subsidize it. If you think it's a good idea, if you think it makes sense, if Martian makes sense to you, then yes, you should pay to put Martians on Mars if you think they're accomplishing something, if you think they should continue to exist. But it's definitely a social decision like nuclear power or some other thing. It's one way or the other way. We're either going to go one way or the other way, and we're going to go that way based on a reason. You're saying do the right thing for the wrong reason, in my opinion. To say you're against procreation because it's inconvenient or expensive, well, fuck you, that's bullshit. I say it's wrong, and that should be the primary reason. The first reason to be against it is because it's wrong. It's an imposition first that you don't have the qualifications. You're not God, so you don't have no right to tell something, I think it's a good idea for you to exist. And beyond that, it's just fundamentally, like I said, when you understand the mechanism, when you sit there and dissect the psychological mechanism, you can see that it is just fulfilling its own created problem. That it's only cleaning up its own mess, so to speak. It creates a psychological mess, a psychological need bag, and now the need bag needs to be fed. And it needs to be fed out of taking from other things that need. And that's the equation that goes absolutely nowhere. I mean, it's just a disaster machine. All right? It's a machine that's eaten its own self to perpetuate itself, or some kind of ugly, you know, just gross kind of thing. Now, if that's emotionalism, because you acknowledge the fact that this is costing something that's valuable, which is the suffering and inconvenience of humans or animals, well, gee, excuse me. But, I mean, you got to be too fucking stupid. Again, everybody in this movie, this little kid in the movie, the king, everybody, they all know this suffering sucks. Every one of these things, I could point to everything. It knows suffering sucks. I mean, you people are just completely whacked. Sorry, camera did something funky. I don't know if there's more. I mean, there's a point where he does say it. Oh, he says it 3 times in the 2 videos. Oh, show me this objective reality. I don't think it existed.
Just wow. I mean, how about some antinatalism based on facts? Like, hey, there's too many motherfuckers on the planet, not enough resources. You know, that kind of shit. So then maybe people actually listen to you. Also, even if you...
Well, again, that's just making the argument that somehow you know what the right number of humans is, which I think is a more complicated number, because quite obviously all these people living on $1 a day, a lot of them would say, I'm happy, I'm doing good, I'm winning. That's what they're going to say, even though they're shitting in a goddamn hole in the ground and they're eating goddamn cephalopods. I'm winning.
Convince people of the right course of action by lying to them, you're still an asshole. So, yeah.
Yeah, lying about what? That's right. Lying about the fact that you believe that there is a commodity being exchanged here on planet Earth among these living things, and the commodity is, I feel good, you feel bad. Or, I feel bad, you feel good. So, yeah, that's what we're exchanging. We're exchanging a state of being, unpleasantness. And some people are getting the crap roll there. Somebody else is pulling a straw, and the straw has written all over it, "Ooh, I'm going to give you a world of hurt." And it's just shoved in their pocket, whether they like it or not. And that's the bullshit of this. And that's just one of the arguments. But these are all valid arguments. And you, like a sissy man, is just putting your little dress over your head and running away going, no, I'm not going to deal with that reality. Well, fuck you. I'm going to make you deal with it. Sort of, kind of, best I can. All right. Well, he probably says it here. He's got to say it soon.
You don't think people should suggest to other people, don't be retarded. You don't think they should do that. And it's like there's some, whore having 18 kids on welfare. They shouldn't say, hey, wait a minute.
Okay, so we agree
Subsidize
on this part,
reproduction.
so never mind. I'm not going to find it. It's not going to matter. So anyway, the like I said, the root of this argument between me and Snake, okay, we probably agree on a lot of other little shit. We agree on a lot of board game dynamics, play of the game, all that kind of shit. Yeah, we probably agree on a ton of stuff, but yeah, he just fundamentally doesn't acknowledge a part of the game that I'm just like, oh, how can you not acknowledge that? It's like, let's say if it was Monopoly, he's just not acknowledging Pass and Go, Baltic and Park Place and, whatever, the utilities. He's just not acknowledging their existence, and so he's not allowing them to be part of the play of the game. And so we can agree on a lot of stuff about the game, but when they get to certain points, you can just see where it falls apart, because we're not playing the same game. And he's arguing that this argument of some kind of universal absolute value statement is not one that could ever be made, that could ever be persuasive, that could ever be unassailable by somebody with a long dress. That's all. Yeah, you have to have a long dress. That's the only way, so you can put it over your head and run like a little sissy boy. Because that's the only way you can assail the simple truth that consciousness, feeling organisms exist on planet Earth, and it's not just wah emotionalism that acknowledges that truth. And fuck you would acknowledge it if it came to you in some sort of more personal way, I guess. That's all. See, that's the problem with you nihilists. Like I said, you are running away because you're so fucking selfish. And you just can't imagine anything else meaning anything except to you. Because I'm sure if you had a kid, you would be conscious of your liability, and you'd be really conscious of its welfare. And the fact that you can't figure out that because it's not your kid, it's still fundamentally the same thing. That that your nepotism is one of those psychological manifestations of dinosaur brains. That he has this whole. He even uses that as an analogy, like I'm just being whatever devil advocate, pain in the ass, snarky shithead to your philosophy, because it's this is a Darwinian thing. Like I'm just making your arguments better by forcing you to go all the way back to the very beginning and try to explain to these cement heads that, suffering matters. Oh, my God, what an incredibly bizarre premise. Suffering matters. Suffering creates value. Holy shit, conscious experience has a value qualia. I hate that fucking word, but whatever. I mean, man. Thanks a lot. And but that is kind of Darwinian, because Darwinian is this survival of the fittest, and this idea of fitness is a lie anyway, right? We know it's not survival of the fittest. It's survival of the exploitanist. It's survival of the lucky. It's survival of the shithead. I mean, it's written all over the game of nature, because they're not playing fucking Marcus of Queensberry rules game. They're playing a fucking shit game. Like, I'm going to have a thing pop out of my forehead and jab you in the eye. Is that what happened to you? Something jabbed you in the eye? Big giant assassin bug. That's Darwinian. All right? It doesn't make things better and stronger and more efficient and all that kind of crap. No, it makes things dumber, more malicious, more insidious in getting their selfish gratification, and it just doesn't matter how big a fucking mess they make. It doesn't matter how many zebras have big, giant claw marks in their ass. It just doesn't matter. And that's that's no defense. That's no rational defense of how humans should think. Humans should think like natural selection. Natural selection should have something to do with philosophy. Oh, please. All right, I think we got enough of this. Yeah, well, yeah, and he made some crack about what I said, something about retards, and you know that you know, you can't convince a retard of anything. But again, like this is, even retards can understand that suffering sucks. Even a retard can understand that. I mean, I know some retards, and they can understand that. You know, it doesn't elude them. The truth that it would suck for something to suffer, unless they hate it, of course, they can understand. They don't. It isn't a broad, incredibly complex and nuanced quantum mathematical tricky idea to grasp onto. Is this idea that, oh yeah, I personally experience great distance between my states of being, very, very horrible and very, very pleasant. And that it's really good to do the pleasant thing, and it's really bad to do the unpleasant thing, and ergo, bingo, there we have some sort of morality. We have some sort of, hey, feeling like shit sucks, feeling good doesn't suck. There you go. We got value in the universe. Yeah, retards can understand it. 5-year-olds, like I said, I could interview, you know, 500 5-year-olds, and I'm sure all of them are going to get it. Suffering sucks. All of them are going to get it. And the only way they turn into fucking idiots like you, who grow up and get all educated and double-jointed, and then start talking absolute crap. Like somehow, no, I have no clue what has value. I can't figure it out at all. It's just stupid. Oh yeah, the other argument they make is they always try to turn what we know in principle, okay, what we know to be in principle, the basic tendency. It's like the thermodynamics thing, right? The laws of thermodynamics. They're true overall, but they're not true in closed systems. And so in individual circumstances, it may be true that you impose suffering because it will prevent more suffering in the future. So short-term gain, you know, short-term pain for long-term gain. That's part of the economics. But that doesn't change the substance of the value. Just as the fact that we have currency and stock markets and all this other shit doesn't change the function that work sucks and eating potato chips and watching TV on the couch is cool. Okay? The economy doesn't change what has value. And the fact that there is an economy in the world monetizing or exchange rating this value is just a fact. So the fact that some circumstance it's the right thing to do to cause pain or to have suffering endured doesn't mean that the fundamental principle doesn't exist. It just means that in circumstances you can gain more of the good stuff by burning a little bit of the good stuff in the short term. Just like we burn fuel because we create something called productivity. And so the productivity is more valuable than the fuel. I mean, well, whatever. This is elementary, my dear Watson. I mean, elementary. This is just so elemental to rational conversation. I just don't even see... I mean, there ought to be two different internets. Like one internet for nihilist crazy fucks and anarchists, and one internet for rational people who are hoping to improve the world with their interaction on the internet. The people who don't give a fuck are just jerking off on people, you know, just jerking off for the sake of it because they have nothing better to do with their fucktarded time. They can't figure out because they're double jointed. They can't get a good grip on their junk, apparently. Whatever. You know, yeah, I just wish there was some way to just segregate this moronically idiot premised idea that somehow you can evade the reality that there is value in everything that we do that involves interaction with sentient life forms on Earth. That you can't evade the value implications. I mean, fuck. That's all I can say. People are dumb. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, this is there it is. There's the face of, I'm too stupid to figure out that value is a legitimate concept in the universe. Redneck much. Eek.